Hi, this is Sarit Switzer, and welcome to the It Is Taught podcast, a podcast devoted to the teachings of Rabbi Shneur Zalman of Liadi as recorded in his most famous work, the Tanya. My hope for this show is to make these teachings accessible and relatable to the average person, regardless of prior Jewish education or affiliation. The episodes follow the prescribed daily study portions and are meant to serve as practical lessons in how to live your life as your true self and develop an authentic and powerful relationship with your Creator. I have personally experienced the effects the study of this work has had on me, and I'm excited to share what I can of this knowledge with you. So please join me on this journey of learning, self-growth, and connection with your source. All right, so we have reached episode 5 of the It Is Taught podcast, and the day today is the 23rd of Kislev for a leap year. And this is the final portion of the Alter Rebbe's forward to the book. So it's going to be a pretty short episode in which the Alter Rebbe reiterates some of the things that were mentioned in the approbations that we went over in the previous episodes. So as was mentioned in the previous approbations, and you can look those up in the first couple of episodes of this podcast, the Alter Rebbe talks about how there were many, many different versions of this book in different pamphlet forms that were distributed amongst the Chassidim at that time. And unfortunately, because they were just, in such widespread use and widespread availability, there were a lot of errors. And the Alter Rebbe doesn't say this explicitly here, but he sort of hints at the fact that these errors were twofold. Some were, in fact, just errors, like mistakes in the typing and the printing of these pamphlets. And some of them, unfortunately, were a little bit more intentional. The Alter Rebbe's had a lot of enemies at that time. So the Alter Rebbe is saying, just as the previous approbations for this book had stated, that this was one of the incentives for the Alter Rebbe to finally bring this book into publication on his own. And he gives big thanks to the publishers of the book, who he says invested not only their personal time, but also their financial means to bring this book together. And if you wanted to go back and look at the very first entry of this podcast in the approbation of Rabbi Zusha Anapoli, he spells out who these publishers were. The first one was actually the Alter Rebbe's son-in-law, who was the father of the Tzemach Tzedek, who ended up becoming the third Rebbe of Lubavitch. He was known as Rabbi Shalom Shachna. And the second publisher was Rabbi Menachem Gorowitz, who was the son of Rabbi Shmuel Halevi. So these were the two publishers of the book. And so the Alter Rebbe, gives them gratitude and thanks. And he congratulates them on putting this work together. And then he gives a warning. And he quotes a verse from Devarim, in which it says, Arur masig gvul re'ehu, which is from Deuteronomy 27:17, which literally translated means, cursed is the one who encroaches on his fellow's borders. So in Deuteronomy, it's talking about physical borders, but here the Alter Rebbe brings it up in reference to publication. And so he's basically here issuing a warning to anybody not to go out and copy this book and to publish this book on their own without receiving explicit permission from the publishers. And he says that this decree is in effect for up to 5 years. So he gives that warning to people, and he says that anybody who does this, it's very severe. It's a very severe warning that he's giving. And then he says that anybody who does follow through with this and who does listen to this decree will be blessed. And so that is the conclusion of today. That's the conclusion of the Alter Rebbe's forward to the book, and super exciting. Tomorrow, we're going to be actually getting into the book itself. So we're going to start learning the teachings of the Alter Rebbe starting tomorrow. Super exciting, and I'll speak to you then. Thanks for listening to the It Is Taught podcast, hosted by Sarit Switzer. This podcast is dedicated in loving memory of my maternal grandfather, Avraham Yitzchak ben Binyamin HaKohen of blessed memory. Music by Shoshana. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support the show, Please share it with others and subscribe on YouTube, Apple iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And make sure to leave us a 5-star review. To find out more about the It Is Taught project, including more information on my soon-to-be published book, please visit our website, itistaught.com. To catch the latest from me, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Looking forward to speaking with you tomorrow, and until then, have a great day.